You're born with snake eyes, not brown, not blue, slitted, reptilian, wrong. And in the world's largest kingdom of giants, that's not a birth defect. It's a death sentence dressed up as a bad omen. Your own mother looks down at the bundle in her arms, sees those eyes staring back at her, and decides you're not her son. You're a curse, a mistake that crawled out of her body wearing a crown you'll never get to wear properly. So she throws you into the underworld, not a metaphor, an actual place beneath the kingdom of Elbaf, where the unwanted go. You are the prince of the giants, blood of King Harold, blood of Queen Estrid, legitimate heir under every law the kingdom's ever written, and you're also garbage, thrown away before you could even open those eyes long enough to see the woman who did it. Here's what nobody tells you about growing up as the thing your own kingdom's ashamed of. You don't remember the underworld, you're too young, but you remember the moment you were pulled out of it, not by Estrid, never by Estrid, but by a giant woman named Ida who has absolutely no reason to want you. Ida already has a son, Hadradin, bigger than you'll ever be, born to King Harold, same as you, but born on the wrong side of a bloodline law that says only pure giant blood gets to sit on a throne. Hadradin's mother wasn't born in Elbaf. That's it, that's the whole crime, a technicality that'll follow him his entire life. So Ida already knows what it's like to raise a child the kingdom looks down on. Maybe that's why she looks at your snake eyes and doesn't flinch. She takes you into her household, feeds you, raises you next to Hadradin like there was never a question about it. And you, because you're a child who was thrown away once already, you test her, constantly. You say cruel things. You insult her cooking, her voice, the way she hums when she thinks no one's listening. Ida just laughs it off, calls you adorable, keeps setting a plate in front of you every single night like you didn't just call her something unforgivable an hour ago. You grow up in her shadow, half-brother to Hadradin, half accepted by a kingdom that whispers cursed prince every time you walk past. Shame of Elbaf. You learn to hear it and keep walking. You learn the trick of turning your face into stone before the words even land. But at night in Ida's house, you're not the cursed prince. You're just a kid who gets scolded for eating too fast. You'll never call Estrid your mother. Not once, not ever, not even after she's gone. When people ask years later who raised you, there's only one name that ever leaves your mouth. Ida, the only mother you ever had. You're not a small boy anymore. Years have passed, and the anger that started the day you learned what your birth mother did to you has never fully gone away. It's just been waiting for a reason. The reason comes on an ordinary day, in the worst possible way. Ida gets sick, not old sick, wrong sick. The kind of sick that comes on fast and doesn't make sense. The kind that has healers whispering to each other in the hallway instead of to you. She dies before you're ready to understand why. And then, because Elbaf's a small enough world that secrets rot before they can stay buried, you find out the truth. It comes from the last people on Earth you'd expect to hand it to you. Estrid's own relatives. Your birth mother's family, the ones who never wanted anything to do with you either. They tell you, maybe out of guilt, maybe out of cruelty, maybe just because secrets like that eventually need somewhere to go, that they're the ones who poisoned Ida. That it was never about you, it was about money, inheritance, a fortune tied to Estrid's disgraced name that they believed belonged to them, not to the woman who'd spent years raising the son Estrid threw away. They killed the only mother you ever had over an inheritance dispute. Something in you goes quiet, and then something in you goes very, very loud. You don't remember deciding to do what you do next. You remember heat. You remember a village, the one Estrid came from, the one that raised the people who raised the poison. Burning. You remember your hands closing around the throat of the giant responsible, beating him down with a fury that doesn't feel like a decision so much as a debt finally being collected. When it's over, Elbaf has a new story about you, not the boy Ida raised, not the cursed prince who never asked for his own curse. Now you're the arsonist, the troublemaker who burns villages because he enjoys it, because something's wrong in his blood, just like everyone always said. Nobody asks why. You let them. You've had practice letting people believe the worst about you. It's almost comfortable by now. Here's the thing you never say out loud, not to Hadradin, not to anyone. For all your anger at Ida's death, your father never becomes an enemy in your head. King Harold never once looks at your eyes and sees a curse. He looks at you and sees a second son. You'll spend years wishing you'd understood sooner everything your father was carrying. There are things happening above your head, tangled in old debts King Harold made long before you were born, commitments tied to a contract your father never wanted but couldn't undo. Men like Rox D. Zibek, whose name still makes your chest tighten with a kind of admiration you were born too late to act on. You would have followed a man like that anywhere if you'd had the chance. You didn't get the chance. What you got instead was the day everything broke. It happens inside the castle. King Harold's own soldiers turn on him, not out of hatred, but because something else is wearing your father's authority like a mask, something ancient and enormous, pulling strings your father can't cut himself free from. A power called Imu has its hand somewhere inside King Harold, using his own men as weapons against him, and your father, the strongest man you've ever known, is trapped inside his own body, inside his own kingdom, inside his own throne room. And King Harold looks at you, not at Hadruddin, not at the soldiers, at you. He tells you to eat it. The legendary fruit of Elbaf, the forbidden one, the one nobody's touched in the kingdom's entire history. He tells you to eat it, and then he tells you to kill him. You don't understand, not fully, not in the moment. But you understand enough that this isn't hatred. This isn't a father giving up on his son. This is the only way. Only you with that power can do what needs to be done. Only you can free him from a leash he never asked to wear, and maybe, just maybe, keep Elbaf itself from being swallowed whole by whatever Imu actually is. King Harold asks you for one more thing before you do it. Tell the truth after. Clear your name. Take the throne. Be the king he raised you to be. You eat the fruit, you kill your father. And in the silence after, standing over the body of the only parent who never once made you feel cursed, you make a decision that'll define the rest of your life. You decide to lie. Here's the math you do, alone, in the wreckage of that throne room before anyone else arrives to ask questions. If you tell the truth, if you say King Harold was owned, possessed, controlled by something outside Elbaf, something tied to the very world government the giants have spent generations distrusting, the kingdom won't mourn. It'll rage. It'll march. Every giant capable of holding a weapon will want war, immediately, against an enemy most of them can't even see clearly. And King Harold never wanted that. Not war for its own sake. He wanted peace. He wanted the next generation of Elbaf to have a future that didn't start with more graves. So you take his last wish, the true one, the deeper one, and you honor it the only way you know how. You let them call you a patricide. You let them call you a fruit thief, a monster who murdered his own king and stole Elbaf's greatest treasure for himself. You say nothing to correct them. Not once. Every insult that lands after that is one you could end with a single sentence, and you choose every single time to swallow that sentence instead. Hadruddin watches this happen. Your brother, who already knows what it's like to be judged for something he didn't choose, watches you take on a lie so much heavier than anything either of you were ever born into. You don't know, in that moment, what he understands and what he doesn't. You just know he doesn't leave. Then Shanks arrives. You don't remember every detail of what happens. It's a blur of shouting, of giants forming a wall around their fallen king's murderer, of being brought down, restrained, bound. What you do remember is being led back to Elbaf in chains, and the look on the faces of people who used to whisper "Cursed Prince" behind your back, now saying it to your face. They chain you to the roots of the treasure tree Adam. 6 years. 6 years of sitting in the dark, tangled in the roots of a tree older than the lie you're carrying, listening to the wind move through leaves you can't see. 6 years of being exactly what everyone always said you were, Elbaf's shame, bound and buried at the base of the very tree that's supposed to represent the kingdom's future. You don't argue, you don't beg, you just wait, because waiting's the only thing chains let you do. 6 years is a long time to sit with your own thoughts, and yours are not gentle company. You think about Ida's laugh. You think about the village that burned. You think about your father's hand on your shoulder right before he asked you to do the hardest thing anyone's ever asked of you. You think more than anything about how you would have been at Roxty Zebek's side in a heartbeat if history had only given you the years to get there. That old admiration hasn't faded in the dark. If anything, the chains gave it room to grow into something sharper, something closer to belief. Then one day, the roots around you shift. Two strangers are standing where guards should be. One has hair the color of straw and a laugh too loud for someone standing in front of a chained monster. The other has green hair and 3 swords and the kind of stillness that tells you he's already decided you're not actually a monster at all. They're cutting your chains. You don't know their names yet, not really. But right now he's just a stranger with startlingly kind eyes, doing something nobody else has done in 6 years, looking at you like you're a person worth freeing. Hadruddin's there too. Your brother, after everything, standing at the edge of the roots, watching the chains fall away from the sibling who let a kingdom hate him rather than let a kingdom go to war. You stand for the first time in 6 years on legs that remember how to hold a body twice as dangerous as the one that got chained here. Imu's still out there, still reaching for Elbaf like it's just another piece on a board. And this time, you're not a boy anymore, hiding a truth to keep the peace. You eat what's left of your own restraint the same way you once ate that fruit, completely, without hesitation. Something enormous unfolds out of you, wings. Black scales larger than the ships that sail past Elbaf's shores. a shape older than the tree they chained you to, a shape the giants tell stories about, a warrior deity who once became a dragon and fought a god in the sky. You lift the hammer they call Ragnir, heavier than history itself, and for the first time since the day you killed your own father, you stop apologizing for what you are. You didn't ask to be born with these eyes. You didn't ask to be thrown away, raised in someone else's shadow, handed a fruit and a father's dying wish that would cost you 6 years in chains and a kingdom's hatred. But you're standing now, wings out, hammer raised, next to a stranger named Luffy who doesn't know your whole story and fights beside you anyway. You think of Ida one more time, the way you always do before a fight worth having. You think of the plate she used to set down every night, no matter what you'd said to her that day. We did all right. Even the parts nobody else will ever know about. The lie's still yours to carry, the blame's still yours to hold. Your father's real name is still safe, exactly the way you promised, even if you never said the promise out loud. That's the whole point of a prince nobody wanted. You were never supposed to be the hero, you just decided to be one anyway. There are a lot more lives worth living inside this world, a lot more chains worth watching break. So stick around, because this world's barely started showing you what it's got.